So I got my ticket for Thursday, October 27th. That is when I left out. It was early in the morning. Um, we were up there. I think it was like a 7:45 I flew out. We were up there so early. And so when I got there, I have to take pictures because I've unpacked my luggage now. I didn't think to take pictures of those, or I have to go see if I could find my photos. But so I had I'm talking about a big suitcase stuffed full. It was overweight. I had to pay $200 extra just to get that one on the plane. And then my second one was almost overweight because you can have up to 50 pounds, and after 50 pounds that's when they charge you more. And I think one of them was like right at 58 pounds or like 60 or something like that, and the other one was like 48 after I took a few things out of it. So I had those two things. Then I had a big brown carry-on bag that had like all of my electronics in it because I'm like, well, if I get bored on the plane, I'll have something to do. And then on top of that, I had a purse, a fur coat that my mom gave me, and a blanket because I didn't want to be cold on a plane. And I did not know that planes provided blankets because I've never flown. And so, I remember when I got through checking or whatever bag checks, I was sad. I called my mom when they were in the car, and this guy was sitting across from me, and he was like, "Miss, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay," and I was just bawling my eyes out. Like, I was so emotional about this trip. And so I remember I got mad at the team, at the Travelbud team, because guys, they have been rushing me. Where is this at? Where's that at? Get this in, get that in. Did you call that? Did you do this? Well, you didn't email us back, so where are you? Rushing me like that. But after I show them my plane ticket and everything, it takes them literally a whole day to tell me where I'm going. And by this time, I'm already in the airport. And that infuriated me because I know for a fact they were up when I was sending them the email, because I check the times always. And around 11, 12 a.m. for me, or 11 p.m., 12 a.m. for me, that's when they're emailing me, or 1 or 2 a.m. I was up to then. Nobody said nothing until I was at the airport. And that was the first thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this trip be taken from me. I'm just going to zen it out, pray to the Lord, like listen to my Christian songs, and really meditate on God and what I'm walking into. I refrained from all types of rap music or anything. I just wanted to be in God because I was scared, and I knew he was the only one I had. It was me and him. I mean, like, I always have him. He's always my ride or die, but it's different when he's with you, and you have other believers that you can look at and touch and see. I'm going to a land where these people don't know me. They barely claim my religion, so I really wanted to be in tune with him. And so I got on the plane. The first seats were economy, and I was joking with my mom, and I was telling her, like, I was so glad that I lost weight because the bathrooms are tight. And with my thick thighs, I was just like, I don't like this at all. I was also on that time of the month, and it was really heavy this time. And so that was causing my stomach to be nauseous. But I love flying. I got a window view. I wanted to sit by the window because I wanted to look out for myself and see the land, and I was wondering if I would be scared or nervous. And I was not at all. Flying feels like a roller coaster to me. The adrenaline rush is just uncanny. It's the taking off. When you take off on a plane, at first it goes slow. Or if you've never flown, like me at first, the girl who's flown twice. And it was a world tour, believe me. But so the plane starts off slow, and then it just shoots off. It's like zoom, and I love that. It's so nice. And then when you're on, like, in the plane, my little plane wings, it dips down on one side, and you can look down and be like, oh, look at those people over there, and you see those people over there. And one thing I've realized is that as a Texas woman, I am very blessed to know what land is, because I flew into Minneapolis. And if you're from Minneapolis and you're watching this, please tell me, where is your backyard? Because there is none. There's none. I was like, how are people? And it was a beautiful city. Don't get me wrong. I love the view. I love the land. I just love I love traveling. I think I love traveling. I've never really traveled, but from what I see, I just love traveling and seeing different things. You know, sceneries. I'm big on sceneries. I grew up watching Animal Planet and, like I say, a lot of nature shows. So that helped me with flying, you know, to be okay with it. So I flew into Minneapolis. I touched down there, and then as soon as I got into Minneapolis, I was supposed to have about a like an hour layover, but it was quick. Like as soon as I got to Minneapolis, I got a notification saying they were ready to board, and I was like, I don't even get to eat, you know, like I'm running trying to figure out where everything is, and that was stressing me out because once again, I'm by myself. I'm trying to find the exit. My parents are calling me, you know, friends are texting me. Everybody wants to know something, and so finally, I get on the plane, and it was I had priority seating, and that flight was like 14 hours, I believe. I will show like the timestamps for each flight. It was a long flight, all right? It was very long. And so it was Minneapolis to Incheon, South Korea. And so I did not know going that when you had priority seats, like your meals and snacks was included. I should have read the tickets. I didn't really read the tickets. It didn't dawn on me until my trip back that like I was allowed to partake in that stuff. But so anyways, you know, I got on a plane. There was this guy sitting beside me, and I don't think he'll ever watch this, but if you do watch this, I'm so sorry once again for the story I'm about to tell. So I don't know if it was because I hadn't really eaten. I tried to eat what the plane was offering. United, do better, because no, the food, I chose like some kind of chicken dish. No. And so I tried to drink water afterwards and a Sprite to, you know, settle my stomach because I was starting to feel bad. And I was like, man, you know, I had to go in the bathroom and just dealing with the time of the month and everything. And I kid y'all not, I drank some water, and before I knew it, everything was coming up in my mask. In the seat, I have thrown up on myself in this seat. I am by myself next to a guy who, I mean, it wasn't even that he was just like some movie star, but I in general get nervous around the other sex. I just, you know, I get nervous. And so I kept thinking like, I know he sees this, and what am I going to do about the fact that I have just thrown up on myself? So finally, this one flight attendant comes. He was my bestie for the resty, and you know, he helped me get cleaned up, him and another black lady. So I was thankful that they, you know, helped me get my bag down. I got everything, like they gave me extra trash bags. And so after that, I took a Valium and, you know, went to sleep, and I felt better once I woke up. And so I touched down in Korea. So when I got to Korea, I'm immediately trying to email and message people and find out how the hell am I supposed to get a SIM card, because my biggest thing is communication. I felt like I would be okay anywhere as long as I could just hear the voices of my loved ones. That's all I wanted. And so I reached out to 2 people from Travelbud. Neither one of them knew what to do or where to go. And that made me mad because one of them was like, well, I had to check with somebody. You've been doing this for how many years? And the other one was like, oh, Victavia, like, I just now saw your message, but I see that you got your SIM card. And she put a smiley face. And that for me set me off, because it's like, you knew I was struggling, and are you making a joke out of like my misfortune? And maybe I'm reading that wrong, but that's just what it felt like to me. And so I was told that I was going to have an escort pick me up at the airport, or an escort wait with me at the airport for a bus where I would go and, you know, meet my director. So after I get my little currency exchange monies and I get, you know, my bags and stuff out after finding out where they are, I go outside, I sit down, my escort comes, and they're like, well, where are you at, Victavia? Because he's looking for you, and, you know, you have to be in front of this entrance. And I'm like, okay, why are y'all asking me where I'm at, where I just told 2 members of your team that I was trying to find a SIM card? I don't understand what the hang up was there, because I just told you what I was doing. I digress. So I get outside, and the guy, he comes, and he basically is showing me like, cause okay, so in Incheon, when you get off out of the airport and you go outside, there's like different kind of stops, and then like you can see up ahead kind of where it says like if you're waiting for a bus or something, and then they'll have like yellow lines if you go down further towards like different entrances depending on where you're going out. And at those lines, buses pull in and take you to like where you need to go. And so he took me and, you know, was showing me where I think it was B2. I needed to get on B2. The bus would come and take me to Suncheon. So I was like, okay, I could wait here for Suncheon. You know, I was really excited about seeing Suncheon because I had seen pictures of it. You know, the lady, her name was Kim. Kim Leroux, I believe she's from South Africa, and we have been talking a lot about Korea. You know, I was telling her about my excitement as a Black woman going over to Korea to educate these people about us, you know, children and adults. Like, I was really excited to tell the stories about Black people, you know, success stories about us that other cultures don't always tell, you know, because that's either not their prerogative or they don't want it shown that Black people can be successful, you know. And so I was really excited to clear up a lot of misconceptions that, you know, Suncheon or like the people I came in contact with may have had about Black people, you know. And I remember she told me, when we were first talking, like, well, if you had your hair flat ironed, then maybe you would want to wear your hair flat ironed to your school for the first 2 weeks. Let them get accustomed to seeing you like that and then twist your hair up. Because if they see you with straight hair and then see you with twisted hair, it's going to be a shock. And I had agreed with her at first, but then I thought about it some more and I was like, okay, but if they're going to be shocked to see me regardless, I would rather them be shocked to see me when I first get there than when I've been here and built a rapport for you people and then it changes because my hair changes. Because I'm still Victavia. Like, that's still me, you know? And so I want to gift that normal. I twisted out my hair, you know? I dyed it, everything. Dyed it red, you know? And so, when I got to there and I was waiting at the airport, you know, I was excited and still a little sad, but I didn't feel scared. I wasn't nervous about anything. I think the only thing I was kind of on edge about was getting on the bus. But even then, you know, there were people walking around me. There was some Korean people who would come and like look at me, but they didn't really say anything. And I was telling my mom them, it was kind of funny to me because they are so free. They just leave their stuff anywhere. It is weird to me. It's not weird. It's different because we don't do that in America. You can't leave a suitcase at your seat and go for like a potty break or a bite to eat. Everything will be gone before you even got into the airport, you know? But over there, because it's such a safe place, people just left their bags and walked off all the time, walked to smoke and everything else, you know. And there was this one group of guys, older gentlemen, who came, and one of them looked at me and I was just like, hello, you know, I'm a shy person when I meet new people, so I didn't really give much dialogue. But, you know, he smiled at me and he sat down, and then his other two friends were standing up, I noticed, and they were, like I said, all of them were older gentlemen, like I would say maybe 50s or so. They were my elders, and I've always been taught to respect my elders. So I pushed my bags over and I was scooting over a little bit so that, you know, another one could come sit down. So they all sat down with me or whatever, and they were talking and laughing. And so I thought that the bus coming up was my bus. So I get up, I go and throw all my luggage, heavy luggage, into this bus. Then I go and show the guy my ticket, and he's like, oh, no, Gwangju. And I'm like, not Suncheon? And he's like, no, Gwangju. I'm like, okay, thank you. And so I had to take off all my bags, get back up onto the, you know, waiting area and wait for another bus. And true enough, I got to Korea. I got to Incheon at 4. So from 4 to 6:10, I waited for my bus. Then as my bus is coming, one of the ladies, she messages and like, she has another 6 hours before she gets to Suncheon. And I'm like, I have how many hours? 6? And she's like, yes, but it can be earlier depending on your route. Nobody thought to tell me this before I was going. Nobody mentioned that to me. Nobody said anything about how long the transportation would take. And honestly, I'm glad that they didn't, because had they told me, I probably wouldn't have went. So you mean to tell me I've spent like a day in the air, then I get here, and you're telling me I have to spend 6 more hours to get to my school. I'm getting there at nighttime. Now that has me fed up too, because once again, I am a black girl. I don't like the odds of having to get anywhere late at night. Like, that's just not a comfort thing for me. And so finally my bus does come. I get on the bus, you know, load everything up, and I go back to my seat. And y'all, the buses are nice, okay? Like, there's this little hang down like curtain thing in the middle. So like, if I'm sitting right here and this is a seat, this is my seat, and there is like another seat right here, there's a little curtain that comes down in the middle like this. You're sitting like this. This is a better description. So if I'm sitting right here, there's this thing, and you can pull it, you know, or like pull it back so you can see the person. And then they also have one that's in front of the window, I guess because they don't like sunlight. I don't really know what that was about, but yeah, I guess to keep the sun out, you know, the sun rays and stuff. And so when we were going, the lady Emma, who could not tell me about my SIM card, was telling me like, you may need to, she was like, when you get there, it'll be after some stops. And I'm like, is there more to the story here? So there were stops that they were taking, like rest stops, I'm guessing, because it was such, you know, a long trip. And so she's like, well, if you're not for certain where you're supposed to get off at, go and show the bus driver, you know, this phrase I just typed out for you. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Why should I have to be in charge of any of that? And if you knew that, why didn't you tell me this before I got on the bus? Once again, these are all things you had months in advance to tell me how these things were going. You should have told me. I didn't know what to ask for. I didn't know to ask for those things, you know, but these are people who were teachers. And Emma, I felt more insulted by her because you're from Texas. Like, you know what it feels like to be a black woman from Texas and to go overseas, you know, and she is in Seoul. So like, you get to live the best of both worlds, you know. But anyways, I was on the bus, and when we got to the first rest stop, I remember I got off because I assumed that's where I was supposed to stop at. And then I remember when I got off the bus, there was another bus beside us, and all of those people were looking at me like, who is she? And I was looking at them like, who are you? You know? And so I got back on the bus. I went back and sat back down, and I got, you know, we ended up going to Suncheon. We arrived in Suncheon. Now I got off, and my director, her name was Julia, as soon as she saw me, she was just over the moon excited. But even when I applied for her and I interviewed for her, she was like, I want you. Literally 2 seconds in after talking, she was like, I want you. I'm in love with your diction, how you talk, how you pronounce things. She asked me if I love kids, which I told her, yes, you know, I love working with children. And she was like, please come to my school. She's like, I'll show you the apartment. Showed me the apartment, beautiful pictures. I'm just gonna pause so I can put in all of these beautiful pictures of this apartment that she sent me, because I really thought that was gonna be what I was living in. So I get there, I see her, you know, I'm excited to see her, you know, and her husband, so they don't really, you know, here we shake hands, we, you know, hug, that's our customs. And I forgot that they don't do that. And so she came and she hugged, but he was like, fist dap. So I just kind of bowed and, you know, fist dap, because I didn't know what to do. So we get in the car, and they have nice cars, Kias everywhere, which is so funny because I have a Kia. And I was like, these are my people, you know, these are my people. And so, you know, we're in the car, we're talking, and I was telling them, they asked me if I was hungry. I was telling them, yeah, I was a little hungry. And so we're driving around, and some places were cold and closed, and a lot of places were open. And so we got to my apartment, and it's up 4 flights of stairs. Now, first of all, when we get outside the buildings, I'm looking around like, no way. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe the inside is better. You know, like maybe I'm just being too harsh with my thinking. We get up 4 flights of stairs. I had to help this man carry my bag up 4 flights of stairs. And that let me know my husband got to be a bodybuilder or something, because I refuse to have to lug that much heavy stuff by myself, essentially, again. So we get everything up into my room. She shows me the code and the combination and everything. Now, this is where the story gets gooder and gooder. I'm going to play a video of the apartment and then come back and talk about the rest of what I want to talk about. Okay, so this is my blog. Welcome to my TikTok, my channel. This will be for my journey in Korea, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys what I walked into, because it was not what anybody promised me. So this is the first thing you see when you come into my apartment. Those shoes are mine. This is the bathroom. Light does not work. And I'm like, okay, because that's something new on me. So I am going to move my mess so y'all won't see that. But like this is not me. Like I did not do this. Like, and like I say, shout out to the one who was here before me, because they left food. But like, look at all this mess. Hold on. Like, look at that. Look, I mean, and those drinks are mine. Once again, the drinks are mine, but everything else is not. Look at the spots, and then look at that. And then look, what is this? What is that? What is that? Now let's keep walking. What is this? Can anybody tell me what this is? The only thing I contributed to is this. This has my name on it, so I ain't gonna lie about that. But the rest of this was like this when I got here. Let me show you the closet. Oopsies. Look at that. What is this? Who the hell lived here before I did? Sorry for cussing, mama. But who lived here before I did? Huh? And look, this is my blanket. But look at the wall. Look at the little bear futon. Y'all, look at this. Also, let me re-put the disclaimer in there. It's tearing up over here. I'm not crying yet. I promise. I'm okay. I don't know, allergies. It's getting cold outside. But so, as you can see, the apartment was filthy. And it's just crazy, because I said that, as you heard in the video, it was for my TikTok, my YouTube, or whatever, because I thought that I was going to be one of those blogger chicks, like, I'm in Korea. You know, like, that was what I was looking for myself. And no, instead I had to make this video back at home about what happened, which I counted all joy. And so I remember when I was first in the apartment, I was like, this is a dump. Like, you know, and I will admit, I had once upon a time last year when me and my family first moved, we had to move into an apartment. It was a dump too, okay? And this place was a dump, but I don't think it really has, I don't know. I don't know. It was just like the apartments. On levels of being bad, they are neck and neck. I'm not going to even get into that. But so, you know, it was the water damage. It was the smell. It smelled awful in there, you know. And I just remember looking around thinking to myself, this is not it. Oh, and then she stops me and she goes, are you on your time in a month? And I'm like, ma'am? And she's like, the back of your pants. And I'm thinking to myself, you're lying. So, you know, when I got off the bus the first time and got back on, this guy moved his stuff so I could walk by him. I thought he was being courteous. Now I'm thinking maybe he saw the blood soaked on the back of my pants and was like, oh no, I don't want her touching my stuff with her nasty. But that is my embarrassment, and I still kind of die on the inside. But I didn't know, you know, like I said, it was a heavy period. It was a thing. But so I bled through my pants, and she was like, well, do you want to come out and get something to eat? And I'm like, no, I just, do you see what I'm dealing with? Like, I just want to, and I told her, I'm like, I'm just tired. I just want to go to sleep. I just want to go to bed, you know? And so she leaves me. She tells me there's like a mini mart across the street if I want to go and buy something. But of course I wasn't keen on going out. Like, I'm new to this land. I'm not just about to go in no store. So, you know, I unpack everything, and I look in the bathroom and I'm like, how am I going to shower? You know what I'm saying? And So that was the second red flag, because that night I had to shower in my kitchen sink. So it wasn't a shower, but it was a wash off. And what I had to do was I had to place my dirty clothes on the floor underneath me, stand on them, use my I had towels. I had taken like 7 towels, which thank God he gave me wisdom to take that. I took towels and I took a big towel, and I did a wash off the best I could, you know, cleaned out everything the best I could in the sink. And then I would do it at a time. So I would do like my upper body and dry my upper body off. And then I would do my legs and get the intimates, you know, after the legs. Because I was like, I don't want to be too cold, you know, standing here shivering and then my body shuts down in this cold apartment or anything like that. And so that was the first night. I got that done. I went and laid down, and the bed was hard, like bricks hard. I've never slept on anything that hard. It was like I was essentially sleeping on a concrete cement, but with a sheet over it. It was a thing. So the next day I woke up, you know, I was in a depression. I was crying again, you know, I was sad, and it was just looking around my room, you know, and I was thinking, well, maybe I can spice it up, you know, maybe I can make this place better for the next person who comes, so they don't have to feel like they are living in a dump, you know. And I felt remotivated by that, you know. And I remember I was stressed because the plugs were not like our plugs, and Sugar Cookie had told me to look into the plugs, which I did, but some places in Seoul and in South Korea have plugs like ours. So I just lost in translation. You know, I should have did better. But anyways, the plugs weren't really working. So one of my other personal friends, she gave me a solar power charging battery, and that really helped, because had she not gave that to me, I wouldn't have been able to talk to my parents for like a day, you know. And so the next day I had got up and I tried to go out looking with them. I Skyped 2 of my friends and or on Snapchat, and so we went and we looked around, and I'll post, you know, little clips of videos, maybe like over here, and just show while I'm talking so I don't keep this video too long. But so, you know, she came and got me, my boss, that night, and we ate and everything that evening, and she showed me where some stores was and stuff. It was really great. You know, she was a great lady. She seemed so friendly, so energetic, you know. And when I showed her my mom, she was in love with that lady. She just could not believe that my family looked as good as they did. Even wanted her husband to see him. And, you know, even I showed her my dad, and she was like, that's not your boyfriend? I'm like, no, that's my mom's boyfriend. She loves him so much that they're married now, lady. You know, and so and I am going to tell this story. I told it to my friends. But so she was showing me her family. She never showed me her daughter. She was supposed to show me her daughter, but she showed me her son. Now, her son, he was like a model, I suppose. He had his shirt off. He was posing. And I was like, ooh. And she was like, yeah, ooh. And I was like, no. Like, don't tell him that. So she has that one up on me, because I sadly did not mask that well. But so after we talked or whatever, you know, she showed me the school. The school was about 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes away from where I live, and depending on like how far you walk. You have to walk through this little park, and it has like 3 ways you can go. You walk, you turn right, you walk up the street, you make a left, you walk a few steps, and boom, like the school is right there. And she lives on the 3rd story above the school. So she showed me where I would be working at, you know, and everything like that. And I was excited. I was like, okay, cool. You know, I was meeting the students. They were so nice and bubbly and just sweet. They were really sweet, you know. I never had a problem with the people being mean to me or anything like that. And so when I went back home, I was just looking around, and I told her, I reached out to the director, and I was like, hey, look, I need another room, because first of all, I saw a bug on the roof, and I don't do bugs. No, you know, I don't do them at home. I don't do them outside. No. So there was one on the ceiling, and then I saw a baby roach in the sink. And so I told her, like, I need another place. There's bugs in my sink. The bathroom sink is not working. The light is busted. The bed is hard. Like, can you help me out? And so she brushed me off and was like, we'll talk about it later. So I go to work that Monday, and she doesn't really say anything to me about it. And, you know, Um, Also, my condolences to anybody who lost a friend or who was personally at the Itaewon convention, you know, at the Halloween party. Yes, I heard about it. No, I was not there. I ironically enough wanted to go there. Like, I had researched that particular event because I knew that they didn't really celebrate Halloween, and I wanted to do something because, you know, I cosplay, so I wanted an excuse to put on makeup and go cosplay. But so my condolences, you know, to everybody's families whose loved ones lives were lost. And like I said, if you were involved in that, it was really sad. And so I just ask you guys to continue to pray for that community, because I know that they're still very much grieving from that, you know. And so that happened like the first night I got there, and then after that, an earthquake shook about 8 hours away from me, and I was just kind of like, But so, anyways, you know, that we get to work that day, and they were supposed to throw a Halloween party, but because of the Itaewon thing, she was just gonna like play a little games with them, give them candy bags. And so they went and showed me my room and literally was like, you got this today, just meet your students, greet yourself with them. And there was a guy named Miller. He don't know this, but he was my boyfriend for a week. I tell everybody that he was my boyfriend for a week. So he was showing me how to set up the class and everything like that, you know, and just telling me like, if you need any help, like, you can always come to me, you know, just being really nice. And so he showed me what to do. And so I was supposed to talk to the kids for about 30 minutes, then take them upstairs. And so, you know, the first group I met, I was supposed to be working with early elementary. That's who I met first. Sweet as needles, you know, sweet, just sweet kids, you know. They were so funny and asking me about my name, who I was, where I came from, you know. My hair, I had unraveled it because some of the twists were falling down, so I just kind of let it go curly, and I got a lot of compliments about my hair, you know, and I kept my mask on, so they didn't really see too much of my face, like my piercings or anything. But I do have a tattoo, and I did not cover it the first day, so a lot of them was like, oh, you see her tattoo? And I was like, no. And so I did not know that I was not supposed to take the older kids upstairs. It was kind of like a lack of communication. They didn't really communicate things with me. And so I was talking to the kids, taking them upstairs, and they were like, oh, the older kids, they can't do this, but it's okay. And I'm like, okay, but nobody told me that though. So, but yeah, so when we went upstairs, all these stairs, it was like 3-4 flights of stairs. They played the Squid Game. They played another game where like you put a spatula and a scooper into this box of candy and you like shove them down, and they both have to they play rock paper scissors, but they go opposite. It's like paper rock scissors or something like that. Like, it's the opposite reverse of what we do. And so whoever wins that round, they get to choose one of the handles to pull up. Then they scoop candy into their bags. Then after that, they kind of had like a freeze dance section where we danced together and froze and went and got into like groups of 2 or 3. And I was a little bit lost, so I was always in Miller's group because Miller. But you know, I was always in his group. And then there was one woman named Sophia, and when she came around me, I was also in her group, you know, or with the kids when they felt comfortable enough to play with me. And so when I got to the older kids, I was like, I did not know I was supposed to be with kids this old, because these were 15-year-olds. I don't really feel comfortable working with that age range because they're impressionable, you know. And I've read stories, I've seen things, and I just don't want to give people no kind of impression about me that's not a good impression. And so it was 4 boys and 4 girls, and I can't remember all their names, but it was like a Mason, a Jacob, and two other guys. But I was trying to get the students to talk to me, and if I talked to them about music and stuff, they were kind of responding if they knew. I figured out half of them hate BTS, so I don't know what's going on there, but they're not a fan of BTS. But I knew a lot of K-hip-hop artists because I listen to K-pop, K-hip. I listen to everything. So I knew a couple of artists that the guys are talking about, and I was able to bond with them and talk to them about it. And so one of them, cute as a button, yes he is, he had a silver bracelet like this. And he was like, teacher, we are the same. And so I look at my bracelet and I'm like, oh yeah, we do have the same bracelet, you know. And he's giggling and talking to his friends about it. And then he goes, so the class was dying down, and I was like, well, you guys have about, 10 minutes. Do you want me to ask you more questions, or do you want to play games? The girls were not having it. They did not want to talk to me. They didn't want to be there. They were like, no. And so I was like, and the guys were like, well, ask questions, ask questions. And so the one who asked me about the bracelet was like, teacher, boyfriend? And I said, me? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, no, I don't have a boyfriend, but I can't do nothing with you. Like, you're 15. But so they were really sweet. They were sweet. They were joys to work with. I love teaching children. The program itself made me a little mad because it is just repetition, like, for instance, you would teach them things like, I walk to the bus. So if I say, I walk to the bus, then they'd say, I walk to the bus. And you'd be like, I walk to the bus. And so they're basically supposed to mimic everything you are saying or doing. That's the purpose of you being an ESL teacher in their land. The way you talk, how you authenticate stuff. That's really how you solidify a job, pretty much, if they're looking for what you're offering.